From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, it's Renegade Express. Questions about Jordan Travis. Where does he rank in the country? Where does he rank in the nation when it comes to playing at the next level? We spoke about that, but we'll talk about it again, and plenty of more questions. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. Come hang out on Friday after the Warchant.com Jeff Cameron Charity Golf Tournament. Happy hour going down at 4 p.m. live show. It might be like, I don't even know, like boosted up version of Seminole Headlines almost. They might get Ira up on their stage there with Jeff and Corey.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be a live version of Headlines.
Yeah.
With, understand, we'll have just played golf for 5 hours, so it might be a little loosier and goosier version of Seminole Headlines than normal because, you know, we might have had a few cocktails on the course.
Ooh. Cheesesteak sandwich, your daily lunch special over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You also get a side dish of your choice with that. So be sure to take advantage of that over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Thumbs up if you're on YouTube. 5-star rating and review on the Apple Podcast app, please. And subscribe to Warchant.com. $29.99. Do it now. Spring game. Plenty of content going to be coming out on the website. You want all the full premium access, especially the recruiting news, because it's all behind the paywall. So get over the paywall for only $29.99. Take you all the way up until September 1st. We told you, Corey and I, back in the day when we signed up, it was like $100. It's more than $100, like $120 for like a year. You get $30 for almost about a half year now if you get involved. So take advantage. Warchant.com. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I like that your voice went a little high right there when you asked me that. That means that you really care. Yeah. When somebody's voice inflects to that level, folks, this is just something I've learned in my life. That means they do care. Like, what's up, man? That legitimately means they care. Not like, hey, man, what's going on? That monotone, dry, nobody. They're just passing time. But like, what's up, dog?
Yeah, well,
that means they care.
Spring showcase week feels good. Feels real good. Feels real good. Hope we see a lot of you out there at Hotel Indigo, 1 to 3 o'clock. And also, there will be a charity show benefiting the Second Harvest today, 1 to 3 o'clock with the Jeff Cameron Show, which I think is it's the entity that we give back to for the golf tournament, right, Corey? It all goes to Second Harvest?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
It coincides with the golf tournament, yeah.
So help providing meals to those in need here in the Big Bend. So thanks to all those who signed up, man. I think 104 golfers is what Tom told me. So that's what, 26 foursomes? It's awesome.
26, yeah.
It's incredible.
And we're going to be one of the foursomes with Ira and Keith Cottrell. Where do you think we finish out of 26? And do our handicaps come into play?
Where's Steph? I wanted Steph to run. I wanted to run it back with Steph in my crew.
I know you did, man. I bullied my way in. No, she will be in Tampa for Taylor Swift on Thursday night, so she will not be back in time.
Okay.
And she actually does. She is bummed about it because she said that was the best day of her life. Was the golf tournament last year. Yeah. She really had a good time, but it is Taylor Swift. So I guess that's a good second place alternative.
Yeah. All right. You want to get some of these questions, Corey? You want to start?
Well, yeah, but I wanted you to answer. Where do you think we're going to finish out of 26? And do we get to use our handicaps?
I don't think the handicaps come into play. I think we finish maybe last year.
I do too. And I think that trust me, you had a better chance with Stephanie of going up because I'm not going to. She could at least help you off the tee, getting a hit from the ladies' tees and hitting it. She hits it as far as I do, but she does it from the ladies' tees. So you're off down there in the distance. But no, I'm not going to be much help at all. Maybe I'll make a putt.
I don't want to be that guy, but we played with honor. I don't know if everybody out there played with honor. I just, you see some of these scores, and I know it's a best ball scramble, but it's like, come on.
Come on, man,
really?
A 52?
Yeah, like, come on.
I mean, what are we doing? Yeah. I think those people play with handicaps, Aslan. I think I'm going to go ahead and say I'm a 30.
All right.
I think Ira could probably say he's a 30, and if we start doing that, buddy, all of a sudden we're shooting in the 60s. Right. Probably low 60s if we incorporate our handicap. Anyway, we'll figure out. That'll be for Monday's show, folks. We'll regale you with how we did, or the live show if you're watching on Friday, or come to Corner Pocket from 4 to 5 and watch us throw that down. But yeah, we'll regale you with our golf stories.
All right, here we go. Let's regale you with football stuff or any sort of sporting questions. All from our valued subscribers over at warchant.com's Tribal Council. Bradley Moss, wake up! ESPN dropped the top 10 quarterbacks list for the 2023 season. How do you feel about it? All right, he's got all 10 listed. Jordan Travis checks in at number 5, Corey. He is ahead of Sam Hartman. He is ahead of Jaden Daniels. He is behind number 4, Bo Nix, number 3, Drake May, number 2, Michael Penix Jr., number 1, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams of Southern California.
Yeah, honestly, and I know I'm I'm biased. I would probably put him at 2. I don't know. I watched the Penix kid play. He threw for a ton of yards in a lot of those games. It was Pac-12 number 1, and there were also games sometimes he just wasn't very good. The times I watched him. Now he had a very good season. Maybe he's a better draft prospect than Jordan Travis. And I'd also, maybe it's still I have the Auburn years burned into my brain. Yeah. But it's hard for me to put Bo Nix ahead of Jordan Travis. Granted, I did not watch him a lot at Oregon. I watched maybe a game or two, and one of them was against Georgia, so that didn't go well. But I know he played much better, and he was a very good quarterback last year. It's just I got what he did in the SEC kind of burned into my brain, so it's hard for me to put him ahead of Jordan Travis. But I think that's fair. I mean, I would probably have May number 2, Williams 1, and Jordan Travis 3.
Okay. Yeah, definitely he needs to be above Bo Nix. I think I'd maybe even put Jordan ahead of Drake May in terms of as a college quarterback.
Yeah.
I do wonder, if Michael Penix was in Tallahassee and Jordan was in Seattle, how would it look? I feel like Washington's a little bit more pass happy. I don't know how much that's about being in the Pac-12, but I just feel like Kalen DeBoer's system seems to be a little bit more favorable to throwing it through the air.
Well, and to be fair to Penix, right? Didn't he have a really big season for Indiana?
Yeah.
1 year before he transferred.
2 years. I mean, it was a while ago. Then he got hurt, and then
he's proven, and he's good, and he won at Indiana. He put up yards at Indiana. So yeah, he's good, man. It's just, again, I think it's really hard to compare when you get to that level, when you get that high up. They're all good quarterbacks, and I think they would all flourish in different systems. I think maybe you could say Jordan Travis is as good as this system,
yes,
as anybody in the country, save for Caleb Williams at USC.
Yeah, fair. He says he will be placing a bet on the Noles to win it all. Let's go get it. Thanks, fellas, and as always, go Noles.
21-1, baby. Mm-hmm. Get on it before it drops to 8-1. Yeah. When they beat LSU, if they beat LSU, that thing's going to plummet. That thing's going to be cut. That's going to go down to 14-1. So go get your money's worth right now.
Let's keep it with quarterbacks and Jordan Travis, B50. Good morning. I don't get your measurables argument when it comes to Jordan Travis. 10 years ago, maybe. But today's game, the quarterback has evolved. If Travis was the quarterback at Alabama, would their production be any worse than what they had with a 5'10" quarterback in Bryce Young? I don't think Bryce has that much more of a superior arm to Jordan, and Bryce is a potential first overall pick to the Panthers. If Travis, by the way, he's got JTrav, JT13. We're going to call him Jordan Travis on this show. Or Travis or Jordan. No offense, everybody. Love you guys. Anyhow, if Jordan Travis were to win the Heisman and a national title, he also calls it a natty, that would be Natural Light Beer. I don't know why we started saying maybe the chip. I go calling the national championship the chip or the ship. Never calling it a natty, but all you kids have taken over and called it a natty. But anywho.
And they call it a chip, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
They don't call it a ship.
No.
They should call it a chip. I mean, it's a championship.
Correct.
So, but they call it a chip. I guess they're shortening champion and ship and taking out all the words in the middle. Yeah. But it's ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah. On this show, we call them titles or we call them championships. Yes. But we do say HOCO for homecoming now.
No, we don't. In Montana, they call him the chipper. Guys, all right, man. He's like, what do you? I'm going out to I'll film the chipper for you tonight, Al. I'm like, excuse me. He's like, the championship game. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Oh, man. They call him a chipper? Okay.
Yeah, chipper,
all right, Montana. I've never heard that. That's good.
Anyway, all right, if Jordan were to win the Heisman and a national championship, what am I missing that could not be a first pick? Anyways, I enjoy your guys' show. Appreciate your hard work. Also, I just ordered my first batch of Vitamin Energy. Can't wait till it arrives. Maybe the focus will help me better understand this conundrum. LOL. Oh, touche. Yeah, the more we talk about this, Corey, I don't know, man. The only thing I could say is if he gets through this season in that regards, if he wins a Heisman national title, I think absolutely. Because for me, I think for me the biggest hurdle, I don't know if this is what NFL scouts are looking at, but man, he made it through one season fully healthy. Awesome. Like, for real. Like, that's great. I think he has to do that again. If he wins a Heisman national title, he will have done so. I have so many images in my head still of Jordan. Like, listen, when he gets hit in the pocket, which is when he does get hurt, it's not when he's scrambling and sliding or running out of bounds and getting pushed. It's when he stays in the pocket and tries to find something downfield and he gets sacked. Man, I feel like 70% of the time he gets up laboring. And that's getting hit by a defensive end from North Carolina State or Wake Forest. I mean, if he's got the Bosas and J.J. Watt hitting him, I just don't know how much that's going to hold up, and that's the big knock right now on Bryce Young. But Bryce Young has made it through his whole career pretty healthy, been able to avoid all the kind of contact in the pocket. So I think that, to me, is the biggest sort of hurdle. I don't know if that's what they're looking at, professionally, but if he can make it through the season with all those accolades, he will have been healthy for 2 full years, and I think that would push him into this sort of rarefied air.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with Bryce Young is kind of the canary in the coal mine. They don't draft guys. I know Kyler Murray was drafted at number 1. I think he was number 1 overall.
Yeah.
But he's a speed demon running around, whirly dervish. Like, he is an incredible athlete. I don't know that Bryce Young is an incredible athlete. He's certainly not as athletic as Jordan Travis. They have never drafted a kid of this stature this high, ever. That didn't offer something else, like Kyler Murray. Like Kyler, number 1, he was going to that offense that they thought would be a perfect fit for him, that he had played in before. Kingsbury was there, but also, he was one of the fastest guys on the team. Bryce Young won't be that. He is just a 5'10", skinny kid with a remarkable arm and a remarkable ability to process stuff very quickly and great accuracy. So with him, no, the measurables aren't there. I don't know if that's going to be how the game evolves or if this is an anomaly. My sense tells me it's an anomaly, but I could be wrong, man. I could be 100% wrong. And if Jordan Travis has a Bryce Young type year, and even if he doesn't win the Heisman, if he wins a ton of games and has Heisman moments and gets invited to New York and is an All-American, I guess there's a chance. I don't know that Bryce Young, even at his size, he throws it about as well as anyone in the country. Yeah. Arm strength-wise, he can make every throw. I think they'll still have questions about Jordan in that regard. But you're talking, right now, one of the biggest Jordan Travis fans in the country is talking about him. Like, I love that guy, and I have loved him, and I love what he does for this team and what he's done for this offense, and I don't want to limit what he can be in the NFL. It's just you don't see a lot of guys. We haven't seen a lot of guys that are 6'1"ish, 6'1.5", that aren't Lamar Jackson fast or Kyler Murray quick. And Jordan Travis is a great athlete. I don't know that he's that, right? I just don't know that he's that. And also, Kyler Murray has a ridiculous arm. Yes. So I think more than anything, what will hurt him now, as I think about it and talk about it out loud, maybe not the measurables as much as just perceived arm strength. He just does not have a cannon. He has a perfectly good arm for college football, and it might be good for the NFL. Matt Ryan, Lord knows, the last 8 years of his career, couldn't throw it more than 40 yards in the air, and he was okay. So it could be good in the NFL. It's certainly good enough in college. I just, I don't know if they'll be that high on him, even if he has a really good year, because they'll say, oh, it's college. They make mistakes all the time, though. So I don't want to limit the kid. But usually you gotta be 6'4", and you gotta look like Will Levis. Yeah. That's what they want. They want Will Levis. They want Anthony the Richardson kid. Yeah.
I think also with Bryce Young, too, it's the fact that it is Bama. It was Bill O'Brien. Literally he's running an NFL system. I know Mike says that there are NFL principles with tempo, but that's such an apples-to-apples thing, that what they run in Bama and what he's probably going to run at the next level, that probably helps him out, too. But I just think, workout-wise, when it comes to throwing the ball, he's not going to wow scouts. But when they put on the film, they're going to be like, man, this kid just made plays, took care of the football, made the right decisions, and he's got a little bit of extra athleticism to him. Now, I don't know if that's enough to be the number 1 overall pick, but first-round pick, if he adds another season of what he did last year, certainly first overall pick, I don't know, especially with Caleb Williams being in that draft. So
Well, that's another thing. He will absolutely not be the first pick in the draft. Unless Caleb Williams decides to go back because he's getting paid too much at USC, he is the number one pick. And again, that has everything to do with arm strength. That kid just is blessed with something that Jordan Travis or most of us don't have. But yeah, Jordan Travis is good enough to play in the NFL. I'm not smart enough to know where and why he'd be drafted where he'd be drafted, but I don't think he'd be drafted number one overall. I have a hard time thinking he'd be a first round pick, but I mean, let's put it this way, there have been a lot of worse quarterbacks drafted than Jordan Travis that have been drafted in the first round, including, and I'm not trying to hate, a couple of ex-Florida State quarterbacks.
Ooh, all right. Moving along, old dad's a Nole. Wake up! Any possibility coach will convert a tight end to defensive end? Which one would be the best prospect in your mind? Cheers, old dad.
I mean, we talked about the revolution of the white defensive end, so it's got to be Brian Courtney, right?
Or Jackson West when he's
or Preston Daniel, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Brighton and Courtney. Jeff talks about it all the time that he wants him to be. He thinks he should be a linebacker. He wants him to move to linebacker.
He played that in high school. He played everything. He played on the defensive side of things too. Yeah.
So he wants him to be a linebacker. But yeah, I mean, he has the body type, the body size, like the frame. I mean, and he's very athletic. He is athletic. He's got that going for him. So maybe coming off the edge, he would be somebody you might. He'd be the first guy I go to. Honestly, he's the best athlete out of that crew, not named Jaheim Bell. Yeah. But I don't know if he'll ever be, the other side, the other aspect of a tight end. I don't know if he'll ever be that guy. But then if he can't be big enough to be a good tight end at the college level, can he get big enough to be a good defensive end? I don't know.
I think at this point, though, there were Hayes in the barn, no? I mean, we've got 3 more spring football practices left. I mean, if you could switch them over in the preseason, but I just don't know how much benefit you'll get because you need help now, right? I mean, this isn't like, we'll set you up for the rest of your career and the rest of your life and, do this kind of radical experiment. Like, they need help now. I don't know if they can go and flip the switch at this point. I just feel like
they wouldn't do it for, today's practice and then the spring game and then the Monday practice. I don't think they'll do it for that. But yeah, it could be something you approach after, April 15th. And see if he's willing to do it or one of those guys is willing to do it because, they do have a glut of tight ends and they don't have defensive ends. It's kind of typically the same body type. But I think the answer is probably more in the portal than going into the tight end room. But to answer the question, I would think Brian Courtney.
He is 6'3", 228 is what he's listed as. So that's
him up to 245, right?
Yeah.
You'd like him a little maybe 6'5"-ish, but 6'3", 245 with his quicks and athleticism, he could be something.
I mean, Byron Turner's 6'4", 237. So, I mean, you're kind of fishing in that same pond there. Good question, old dad. Appreciate it. Speaking of defensive ends, second part of Drew _SK's question, what's the likelihood they go into the portal for another one? Probable, I would say. If we're using like NFL injury designations, Corey. Doubtful, questionable, probable. I'd say probable.
It's definitely not doubtful. Yeah, I would say, I would almost say, I'm going to say likely.
Okay, good.
Not highly likely, but likely, which I think is a shade above probable. Nice. I think it's likely. If I was putting a percentage on it, I would say 75 to 80% chance they go and get themselves a defensive end, or at least go try to get one. Like some guys will say no, but I think they will go and offer a defensive end. I don't think McClendon's committed yet, has he?
I haven't seen anything. No.
Maybe he'll just come. Maybe just go get him.
Yeah,
he's produced at the ACC level.
He's just holding out, contract holdout. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it happens. It's a new world order.
First part of Drew's question: there's an ESPN mock season article that has FSU going 10-3, losses to LSU, Clemson, and Florida. They also have Miami beating Clemson. What in the world scenario would have to happen where this comes true? I think Miami beating Clemson is like the most insulting thing there. I mean, maybe
I don't think anything else is. I don't think anything else is outlandish.
I mean, I don't know. Graham Mertz is going to outduel Jordan Travis because it's in the swamp. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. That's a little insulting. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it is at the Swamp, so maybe it's not terribly insulting.
It's also April, right? Like we have no idea what Florida will be in 8 months. They might be 10-1 somehow. I don't predict it, and I certainly don't want it. But we just don't know what any of these teams are. So yes, you could lose. At Florida is certainly a game that you're going to be right now. I would say the spread on that is within 6 or 7 points, just like the Clemson and LSU games, which maybe aren't quite a coin toss, but close enough to a coin toss that it's not outlandish to think they could lose those 3 games. But then does that mean if they go 10-3, are they saying that they go beat Clemson in the – because they lost 2 out-of-conference games. That means they beat Miami.
It has something about
Miami
them
beat Clemson.
It doesn't have them. It doesn't have anything about the conference championship game. It just says that Florida State would be 10-3. They would lose at LSU, Clemson, and Florida.
I think the way that lines up, you're still playing for the championship.
Especially if Miami beats Clemson.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. You're 7-1. Clemson's 7-1. I guess Miami at best is 7-1, but they lost to you. So it would go to who's higher ranked, and I would assume that would be Florida State and Clemson would be the two highest ranked teams, because Miami's not going 11-1. So yeah, that works. Hey, if you're 9-3, well, they say 10-3 though, so they got to win I think that they're just throwing the bowl game in there, not the championship game, which is bizarre. But either way,
that's right. Yeah, touche.
if you get to Charlotte, give yourself a chance to win that game. Win that game. Just go win in Charlotte, and it will be a good season. It could. I don't know if it counts as a breakthrough season, because 2024 there's going to be so many holes to fill. But it will be a very good, much-needed, feel-good season for a program to go hoist a trophy again, and not one with Cheez-Its.
Yeah, I mean, for them to lose to Florida, like Jordan Traps would have to get hurt. Like I don't want to be arrogant about this. I just one in the world scenario, like that's a scenario.
Yeah,
just that I don't think that defense is going to be any better than it was last year. Listen, they got to go into Death Valley and play Clemson. That's still going to be a little bit tricky. The LSU game is going to be a coin flip. I like Florida State at this point right now. But, it wouldn't be the craziest thing if they lose to LSU or Clemson. But, yeah, if they lose to Florida, that'd be kind of gross. Not going to lie. What's not gross? The delicious flavors of Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code is Warchant BOGO. That's BOGO. Buy one, get one free. So many different varieties, over a half dozen, so many different flavors. It does a lot of great things. The best part is that not only do you get the energy part of Vitamin Energy, 7 hours of it, more, the vitamins, Corey. All the vitamins, vitamins B, vitamins D, all the extracts. It's great tasting, the energy's great, and there's no sugar crash. It's 100% awesome. It says it on the box. I'm reading it right in front of me right here. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 100% awesome. Even more awesome is buying one and getting one free, which you can do when you use the promo code WarChampBOGO, that's BOGO, over at VitaminEnergy.com. Vitamin Energy, shake it and take it. Corey, you going to take one before the big live show?
Dude, I'm going to take one before the golf tournament. I'm not going to need it. Well, I guess I might do another one right when we're starting the live show. Sure. But yeah, I'm taking one before the golf tournament to give us a chance.
Okay. All right, I'll be there with you,
I
too.
don't want to finish 26th. That's all we're trying to do, Aslan, is avoid the cellar.
Back at it, folks. Noel Boy 02, Seminole Mike 1. He's held a spot until I got off my flight. We'll see if you make it back into this thread and post your question by the time we're done recording. Best of luck to you, Mike. No offense if we don't get to it. Noel Boy 02, guys, if you could cover any sports team other than FSU, who would it be?
Oh, that's so broad.
Yeah. Professional. I don't know. I'm a Lakers fan. I think it'd be kind of cool to cover the Lakers, especially with LeBron on the team. But then, I don't want to be in the locker room in a huge scrum with 30 different people shoulder to shoulder, holding a camera up, trying to get a soundbite, holding my microphone out. If I was just the reporter and I had a cameraman, that would be nice. It'd probably be cool to live in L.A. covering the Lakers. Probably make a good amount of money. Could live somewhere comfortable, and the weather's nice.
You do, yeah. The weather would be great, but I think I'd maybe say I would have a hard time covering professional athletes at my age now. It would be hard, just the dynamics of covering someone that makes, I don't know, man. Rudy Gobert makes $44 million a year. That's crazy. They all do, and the only people that get scoops are 3 guys. They're national guys. local guys never get scoops on NBA teams. It's always Woj. Or whoever the other guy is.
Shams.
Shams. Woj or Shams. Shams bombs or Woj bombs. That's all that they drive the NBA, so much so that they're part of the NBA 2K video game. Woj is. So it's I don't know, man. I would have a hard time doing what I've done for the last 15 years to then start covering. And I know we're covering guys now that make money, but it's not obscene money, and it's not the I don't know, man, just the dynamics of talking to guys that make more in a week than you do in a year and kind of trying to grovel for information because it's 24 hours all the time. I don't know. It'd be a little hard for me at this stage in my life. If I was your age, Aslan, of course. If I was a young buck like you, that would be exactly what I'd want to do. I would say, honestly, and I know it's a cop-out, maybe Georgia, just because it's close to my home, close to my son, close to my mom, and it's the same sport. It's the same, like Georgia football. But again, it's probably easier to cover because you don't get to see anything. Hey, just be here at 2 o'clock for the post-practice interview. You're not going to watch practice. You're not going to have observations. Just write down what we tell you to write down and be done with your day.
Yeah, I was going to say Texas, but my buddy actually does cover Texas, and he's a Texas alum, and he hates it.
Oh, really?
He's like,
man, the city, though, right? The
yeah,
city
Austin's
cool.
awesome, but just they're not a fun lot to deal with. But, I mean, it's a good sports program, obviously. Every major sport is always highly competitive, and you're going to be traveling all the time, going to cool places, whether it's Omaha or bowl games. So that'd probably be pretty cool. So, but, yeah, he said, I don't know, maybe Tulane, so I could live in New Orleans.
Okay.
Cover Tulane.
Yeah, and nobody really cares if you're breaking stories on Tulane football or basketball, but you get to live in New Orleans. Good answer.
Grumpy BK, wake up! 2 questions. First, I recall seeing FSU as having the 6th best odds of winning the national championship in 2023. Expectations too high, low, or just right? That's just right, I think. Yeah, over at my bookie, they're 1, 2, 3, 4.
7th, right? Southern
Cal and Clemson are tied for 5th, so 7th, and they're tied with LSU. So that's about right.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm if they went on a run and won the national championship, but it's also not, from other people around the country, it's not expected. So I think that's a good, you could still be a surprise. Yeah. Even though you're going to start the season top 10, I don't know if it's people really thinking that you've arrived to the point where you can challenge Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State. Maybe they're still kind of like a little bit of eye rolling, like, okay, all right, yeah, you got a nice quarterback. It was a nice end of your season. Who'd you beat? That's still kind of maybe the thought process of the people around the country. So I still think this is kind of a sweet spot to be in.
Somebody posted on YouTube, it amazes me how you guys, and this wasn't posted at us, this was posted actually at the headlines video. It amazes me how you guys think you are back. You barely beat LSU well before they were good, barely beat a bad Florida team, and follow that up by also barely beating a 6-6 Oklahoma team in your bowl game, all while playing in a terrible conference. On top of that, you have to rely on portal puffs as your high school recruiting class sucked once again. Just keeping it real, folks. Which is really harsh. And then I read it, and it was posted by somebody called 321 Gates. So it's a Gator fan. And I started like, well, what are you, and who are you guys?
Yeah.
What are you
lost
guys
to that
doing?
team. You lost to those portal puffs. And you're probably going to lose to them again this year.
You got Graham Mertz.
Yeah.
You had to stop the bleeding. You guys were whatever you were with apparently a top 15, top 10 quarterback in the NFL draft. And you went and got Graham Mertz. What are you going to do now? Hey, but you guys got 2 offensive line coaches. And your special teams coach isn't a special teams coach. He's a game changers coach. So that's cool. Best of luck with that. But, hey, you got the number 8 overall, I guess, whatever, high school recruiting class. We'll check back in 3 years, see how many of them have panned out. How many of them are still there. Dude.
You tell him, Aslan.
I don't get partisan. I'm not a homer, but like when I see Gator fans, especially after a year where they lost to Florida State, getting mouthy on our territory. That's why no one likes you. No one likes you guys. Anyhow, second part of the question.
Well said. All right.
Second part of the question. Besides safety and linebacker, what one gap would you want filled up either from the transfer portal or the current roster to improve our chances at said title. Enjoy the showcase weekend, gentlemen.
Maybe a bona fide number 2 receiver, and that could be a guy on the roster for sure. I just think you want somebody to emerge and stay emerged, quit submerging themselves, but stay emerged. I would say that. I don't know what in defensive end, those two maybe. I just think if you went in order of what you need, what I think you need, because I don't trust Duke Cooper and Travis Jay to provide the quality depth a program that's trying to win a national championship needs at safety. Shaheem Brown and Akeem Dent aren't going to play every snap of every game. And we don't know if they're all that great either. So I think your number 1 need is you got to go get a safety. I think linebacker is number 2. I think the combination of Bethune and Deloach, to me, is more proven and more capable right now than the combination of Dent and Shaheem Brown. Doesn't mean Shaheem won't be great. We're hoping that he takes that step, but he hasn't proven it yet. Bethune, we know what he is. Deloach, we know what they are. They're solid college linebackers. Is Akeem solid at safety?
Right.
Do we know that Shaheem's going to be solid at safety? Yeah, we don't. We think Akeem's been here forever, and Shaheem's, a practice warrior and made a couple big plays, a really big one last year, but that was on special teams. So he played a lot, but he didn't make a lot of game-changing plays on defense. We need to see that happen. But I just think if you're ranking the needs, it's safety, probably linebacker. I don't know, man. I might even go defensive end before linebacker.
I would too. Yeah. Listen, because you talked about on the show. They're going to run a nickel primarily, right? 4-2-5. You got Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach. Bring in Lundy when you have to. Omar Graham is getting a little bit better. You're all right there. But, man, they need help at defensive end because after Jared Verse and Patrick Payton, man, you talk about the gap between quarterback one and
Edmond's going to be a nice player for them, but
he's
not Jared
Verse. I don't know if he's ready yet, man. I mean, I hope he's got the frame, the build, but I don't know how much. I mean, he's old, man. He's not. He's got a year or two left, but he's
no. But I think he's what McClendon was. He's McClendon. But you had 2 Derek McClendons. Well, and that's fine for backups. Like you're not going to have NFL players at backups at most positions, but you want a guy that can not be an embarrassment and can kind of hold his own when he's out there for your starters and occasionally make plays. I think Edmond and McClendon were those 2 guys. I mean, they weren't going to embarrass you. They were solid. They've proven they're solid and can play at this level. They're just not great. It'd be nice to go get a great one. Yeah, but even if Edmond's just pretty good, that's only 3 guys that you know about.
Yeah.
Maybe Byron Turner Overdrive takes a big step. Maybe the JUCO kid gets completely healthy and is as good as they think he can be. But those are all big ifs. There might be some certainties out in the portal that you could go get, and that opens. By the way, saw it on Twitter on Wednesday. The portal for football officially reopens again on April 15th. So keep your eye out. It's going to be a flood. And
April 15th, that's not the spring game. That's a Saturday.
Yeah. They don't care.
That's when it opens? Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I kind of want to move on, but I almost feel like we're talking too much about the second wide receiver spot. I mean, we
got to talk about something, right?
Yeah. I saw somebody in the replies to our show from the other day about it's kind of concerning that somebody hasn't emerged yet at the number 2 spot for where we want to be. And I understand. I get it. When this team wins national championships, it's P-Dub and it's Dugans. It's Kelvin and it's Rashad. It's, Kez.
It's draft picks. It's NFL players.
Yeah, so they'll be all right there. I mean, because, again, man, what they have at tight end, what they have out of the backfield, with that offensive line giving time for this quarterback to figure things out, and Johnny Wilson, man, they're going to be all right. They're going to be all right. Offensively, they're going to be all right. Let's get a safety. Let's get a defensive end.
There you go. There you go, Aslan. But if Marvin Harrison Jr. wants to come to Florida and get out of Ohio, you have a spot for him.
Yeah. And to your point, too, if there's some guy out there that caught 80 for 1,100 at a FCS program or a Sun Belt school, sure. Yeah, man. I'll take that. But not somebody who's got, caught 28 for 424 and 2 touchdowns last year at, Kansas State. Not interested.
All right.
I don't think so.
I see the line of delineation with you. I got it.
Yeah. Island Chief, wake up. Who is the staffer, not an on-field coach? that has the biggest impact on the football program not named Michael Alford? Is there a monk within the program? Referring the late Monk Bonasorti.
Yes. That was like Jimbo's consigliere.
Yeah.
I don't think I said it right. I'm like Billy Crystal now. Consigliere. I look, man, they have so many titles and so many different, like director of player personnel, director of high school operations, director of talent acquisition. It's a very good question. And I'm not trying to punt it. I don't know. It would be pure speculation. I'd love Norvell to say for sure who his right-hand man is. Would it be Ray?
Pereira?
Derek Ray. Isn't that his name?
Yeah, the
Y-R-A-Y?
general manager of personnel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, wasn't Monk at practice a lot? Like, we don't see
Monk
Derek.
did some behind-the-scenes stuff to make sure Jimbo didn't throttle people.
Yeah, I don't think.
That was where he greased wheels on both ends to make sure that things, progressed the way they needed to progress. He was invaluable in that role. If he's not there, as we saw when he got sick and sadly passed away, things became a dumpster fire real quick. He kept the fires from lighting. But his role wasn't, I don't know that you need that. You don't. I do know this.
Right,
you
with
don't
Norvell.
need somebody like that for Mike Norvell in this administration. Right. You don't need a go-between because they're going to throttle each other and they can't look. It's like a nasty divorce proceedings. It's not that with Norvell and any of them. So I was thinking more along the lines of Monk had a role that wasn't really
both sides. Like, there's nobody that has to play both sides. Like,
yes.
there isn't that guy that, I mean, like Bruce Warwick is the chief of staff or whatever, but he's totally invested in doing everything that Mike needs to do. He's not trying to play diplomacy between Moore and the football locker room. So yeah, there's not that guy. If we had to pick something though, Core, that's like not an on-field coach, I would say like this strength staff, man. They've got some guys, and we talk about Josh Storms all the time, but Lanier Coleman's a guy that played in the league. Yeah, came from an SEC program, strength and conditioning. Ole Miss.
Enormous.
Yeah,
enormous.
He's a guy that works hand in hand with a lot of these guys that are rehabbing. Coach Farn, he's a guy. His brother, I think, is playing for the Cowboys. Rowdy Dowdy, Darian Jones. Like the strength staff they have are guys that have played football, that know ball, that really have a good kind of sense of what these guys need to hear, how they need to be brought along in their rehab. I think that's a huge kind of piece of this component about the success they've had on the football field. Now, it's not the same way of like them being behind the scenes and kind of, keeping everybody happy and playing, politician. But I think that's one of the things that we don't maybe see on a day in and day basis when you're watching the football video that we're filming at practice or the interviews that we're getting. But those guys are really important when it comes to getting guys like Fabian ready, and Robert Scott's going to have to get ready. Those guys are going to be instrumental in getting them ready. So I would pick those guys.
Yeah, I think the road I was trying to go down with Derek Ray, who I'm looking him up now to try to figure out what his actual title. What did we say his title was? General Manager of Personnel. Yep. Is that? Yeah, but every team has a strength staff. Lots of them. Some of them are good. Some of them aren't. And I guess the jury's still out on Florida State, but we really like what Storms and his crew do. It's noticeable how much bigger and faster the whole deal is here. And Josh Storms and his staff certainly deserve credit for that. But I think what has made Florida State even more unique is what they have done in the portal. Like, that has made them a genuine championship contender in pretty short order, considering where they were a couple of years ago. And I don't know if Derek Ray deserves the credit, if Norvell deserves most of the credit. All the coaches together with the recruiting, how they identify these guys and get them here. Battle's End. I mean, I genuinely don't know, but I think what has separated Florida State from most other schools in the country is their hit rate in the portal. So that's why I was answering it that way. But yes, those guys, those strength staff guys, they are invaluable to. That's who. And Jimbo used to say this all the time. That's who they spend most of their time with. The players spend the vast majority of their time. We're talking about a 12-month calendar. They see Josh Storms and his staff way more than they see anybody else on the staff. Yep. That's where programs are built, literally. is with those guys in the weight room. So they're a very big part of it.
Well, let's go to our guy Mark in Naples. He just booked his flight and a hotel for the spring showcase last minute, but I worked some things out on the schedule. 1% better every day, boys.
Right, there you go, Mark.
Spring showcase should be fun. Warchant definitely dialing up a ton of events for fans and subscribers. And I've been so bad on my enunciation this week, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm just talking too fast. Tons of events for fans and subscribers, and it is much appreciated. But going to ask a basketball question. What do you guys make of Matthew Cleveland's departure? That can't be good, right? Leonard obviously needs to hit the portal hard, and hopefully Norvell is giving him advice on that approach, but Leonard also needed to retain some of the guys on the roster who can play and make a difference. Hope to see you all at the corner pocket this weekend. Go Noles.
Yeah, look, it's not fair for me now to say that he's in the same boat as Caleb Mills was. I think you could tell by the way I talked about Caleb Mills while the season was going on that, number one, I didn't really expect him back, and then when he hit the portal, I did not think that was bad news for Florida State. I thought it was good news for Florida State. I didn't say that about Matthew Cleveland because I don't know. I don't know what how his personality clicked with that program. I certainly don't want to. I'm not blaming him for how bad they've been because he was their best player. But I'm also not adverse to just wiping the slate clean. Like, he was not a winning player here. Nobody was, but he wasn't either. And I don't know if there were chemistry issues because of him or that he was the reason they won any games at all, which you could make an argument for. But, man, I don't think it's the end of the world to lose guys that shoot, what am I looking at? He shot 44% from the field. He led you in scoring at 13.8. Caleb Mills was third at 13. But it just didn't click. He wasn't good defensively. And again, I'm not trying to kill the kid. This isn't sour grapes. I just think they need a whole new. It's like you've got to bring in new dudes that aren't tainted. And I think when you go through what Caleb Mills and Matthew Cleveland especially, what he went through these last 2 years, getting used to losing by 30 points, I just think you kind of try to flush as much of that off your team as possible. That said, yeah, man, they're in real trouble. I don't know how else to say it. They're in real trouble. Hopefully they get Deloach's brother. Hopefully they get somebody that can really play, but they don't have much coming back. Matthew Cleveland was a guy that you were counting on to maybe take another step. I mean, he averaged 13.8 and 7.4 rebounds. I think he averaged 1.5 assists per game and less than a steal per game. He didn't do great things other than that, but he rebounded and scored pretty well. And you've just lost your leading scorer off a team that was terrible. So it's not great necessarily, but maybe it'll just be a different combination, a different chemistry with new guys that come in that will buy in and aren't used to losing and getting their head kicked in by 30 points. Maybe that just helps. I do not want to say it's addition by subtraction with him because heaven knows if it wasn't for him, they might have won 4 games, and it's not fair to him. I think it is a fair assessment of Caleb Mills for different reasons, but not Matthew Cleveland. Still, it might end up being a good thing. This just wasn't working. None of this formula, none of these ingredients. He won't be the last, I wouldn't think. There's going to be other ones coming. I am surprised of the timing, though, right, Aslan? That seemed to kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's not a great look. It's not good.
Yeah. They need to add somebody here in the next 48, 72 hours. I mean, they got to get somebody important. I mean, somebody substantial that's going to bring a pretty good resume with them. Because I understand your point. There were culture setters that kind of passed down what needed to happen here at Florida State to be successful. And you were hoping that Matthew Cleveland would have been that next guy to take it over, but clearly that hasn't been the case. So losing him might not be as big of a deal in terms of that, in that regard. But again, who are they going to get? Because Leonard doesn't have a long runway to get this thing fixed. Who can they get that in 1 year is going to be able to buy in and play with the intensity and selflessness that marked and identified Leonard Hamilton's successful basketball teams here the 6 previous years? That's a concern because the guys that are just instant offense that you can just roll out there, like they're drying up. And I just don't know what the plan is now, what they're trying to get from the portal. But
yeah, it's just a bad situation, man. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say Florida State is going to be good in 2023 because of 2024 because of losing Matthew Cleveland. It's not a crushing blow because he wasn't a great player. And even it just didn't matter. He was on this team. He had really good moments. They went 9-23. It clearly wasn't good enough. And maybe if you surround him with better players, he becomes a better player. He becomes a better defender. Maybe he passes more instead of throwing up some very contested shots a lot of the time. But he had to. Somebody has to score for this team of no scorers. Somebody has to. So yeah, man. I don't know. I hope and this is genuine, I hope he finds a good spot, a good landing spot, has a really nice junior season, and gets to experience an NCAA tournament. Because I'll be honest, I don't see how that could happen here. You're right. I hope, and that doesn't mean it can't. You find the right formula. It's not like you got to go replace a whole starting 11 on offense. You've got 5 starting positions. Go find some guys. Maybe Baba Miller takes another step if he's still here. Who knows? Cam Fletcher. You've got guys that can. Cameron Corrin. You've got maybe an okay, decent nucleus, and you can surround them with, like you said, some big time players, some big time scorers, and it works. It clicks. But it didn't seem like it was clicking with Mr. Mills and Mr. Cleveland. Clearly. Look, man, let's be honest. They're talented enough, Matthew Cleveland and Caleb Mills, to not lose 23 games. Mm-hmm. Right?
yes.
Caleb just signed with Memphis. Matthew Cleveland apparently could go anywhere in the country, according to his list that was on Twitter on Wednesday of teams that have reached out to him. And you had other decent players around you, and they got their heads kicked in for 2 years and got used to it. It's awesome that Cleveland hit those 2 awesome game winners in horrible seasons. They're not going to live in forever like Snares, because Snares hit them when they had good seasons and were going to the tournament and winning an ACC championship. Like hitting a game winner against Miami, it was awesome. It was incredible. It was an unbelievable comeback. It was the 9th win of the season when you only won 9 games. So I don't know. I have a hard time getting too worked up about it, but I do think that, I genuinely hope he has a good career and gets to go experience an NCAA tournament. And I understand why he would leave. There's absolutely no guarantee that they're going to be any good next year. None. So, but I also think that, maybe Florida State will be better without him somehow. I like to speak out of both sides of my mouth, folks. I like kind of just spitball and just throw everything against a window and see if I sound intelligent on anything, and usually I don't.
Oh, stop it. MyBookie.ag, where you can bet anything, anytime. We're offering our listeners the promo code WARCHANT for an instant cash deposit bonus. You can use it on anything, whether it's futures bets, live betting, things that might happen later tonight. Also, the casino you can take advantage of, and the MyBookie Money Bag, which gives you boosted odds on numerous plays throughout the website's menu. As we've talked about, Florida State a 21-1 listing here for the championship for college football. That's good value. How about 190-1 on the Atlanta Hawks to win the NBA championship? The Larry O'Brien Trophy after a big win over Miami the other night, Corey. Trey's dialed in. Feeling good.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a quick series. They'll make short work of Boston. Everybody knows that. The Celtics will be lucky to win 1 game, but it's probably going to go 5. Yeah, no, I said it about Utah football yesterday. Don't burn your money like that. Even if you're just putting $10 on it, go give it to someone in need.
Second harvest, yes. Do whatever you need to do with that money. Don't bet it on the Atlanta Hawks. There is no chance. You would be better off wiping your butt with it. I don't like any of these. Like Phoenix at 4-1 is okay, but that's not great value. Like the Lakers at 15-1, don't do it. I'm a Lakers fan. Don't do it.
What about the Warriors?
8-1. That's not great. I mean, that's not great.
It's not great.
Yeah.
But you could put 50 on that, right? You could put Put a little unit on that and try to win 400.
All right.
I mean, your bet is they're reigning champs. They're finally healthy. I guess Wiggins is finally going to start playing. Nobody in the West scares you. Like they have the history and the resume. Experience of winning big games. I'm kind of talking myself into the Warriors a little bit.
All right, there we go. Go to my bookie.
Do we think we're going to lose to the Kings in the first round?
No,
Probably
no,
not, right?
no,
I feel like they'll beat the Kings, and then after that, it's a crapshoot.
Go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. All right, let's go a little tempo. Went over this one. Apologize, but we can bundle it with another question here. So let's do that, Aslan. Yeah. The Walking Nola one and Gator Kirk. So Walking Old Nola one said, we're a long way from September, which got me thinking. I don't want to think too much about our current baseball team, so let's go to the past team. So your memory, what is the worst team you can remember that got into the tournament? I'm in my early 20s, so my knowledge of this is very shallow since I haven't been paying attention that long. I will add I went to the College World Series when we were there in 2012. What a place to be. Can't wait till this season is over so Link can start building his team to get us back to Omaha. Thanks for all that you do. Go Noles. It was the last year they went to Omaha. That was probably the worst team, right? Like 11's last team.
I mean, I would say that one maybe, but they had, they did have Tim Becker coming on and hitting, and he was a club kid. It actually hit really well in the postseason, which was crazy. It was an awesome story. That one, but they had Drew Parrish and they had C.J. Van Eyck, so they had two frontline starters. And I can't remember who their closer was, but they had some good arms. Their shortstop was the Salvatore kid. He was good. Oh, their closer was J.C. Flowers. So they had some, and he hit 10 or 11 home runs. So they had some pieces. This is by far the worst team. And I would say it's either that one or what about last year or the year before? Like they made the tournament.
Oh, with
both as like,
teams?
the two meat teams. I mean, those weren't great shakes.
Yeah, I got it conflated. I think I got it conflated with like the worst team to make it to Omaha. Because if we want to pick from those teams, I mean, Meats teams were quite lean. Those were lean squads. But man, looking at his father, I mean, no. I mean, he had 11 was just steady winning 40 games every year. Just set it and forget it. Not a problem.
Yeah, no. There's other than 2019 on. There's nobody that's even in the conversation. All of those teams were deserving and very good. Very good. Just it's been rough here for half a decade now.
Gator Kirk was saying, wake up, nice to see photos from Corey's vacation. Since Stephanie follows me on Twitter. I don't know if that's like passive-aggressive that you don't
I think it is.
Her.
I'm sorry, Gator Kirk.
If the baseball team does not make the postseason. And
wait, what's she following him on Twitter for, Aslan? What's going on there?
I don't know, man. Will FSU have to win a national title for Link to be considered a successful coach at FSU? I want to cry each time they play in self-destruct. Yes.
Well, I mean, Mike Martin's considered a successful coach, right?
But I mean, come on.
Well, I'm just saying, there's a precedent of a guy here that never won a national title that you would call very successful. If he gets a program that is the caliber of, let's just say Florida didn't win that one that they won. And I know they did. I get it. But they've been really good for a long time, and they won that one of the last 12 or 14 years. You would still say O'Sullivan's a great baseball coach.
Fair.
So, yes, to answer the question, yes, he could be a success, even if they don't win a national championship. But how about we don't test the hypothesis?
Yeah.
How about you just go out and win one, Link? Like, well, let's say he was I know Florida State's different than Notre Dame, but he was successful at Notre Dame. He didn't win one. I know the standards are different there, and the goals are different. Just getting to Omaha was a great accomplishment. But how about just going and winning one? Put a program together that could compete for 56 games or however many games this program, how college baseball teams play, and then play in the postseason, play well, and get hot. Just have a 2021 Braves stretch out of nowhere when you're not the most talented team, but you find a way to win it. Just do it one time, Link.
They got 6 more series and like 4 more midweekers. So they got like over 20 games, and they're 6 games under 500 right now. It would take a bit of I can't imagine them going like 17-7 to finish it out. That'd be nuts. Although that would put them well above 500 because they're only 6 games. That was 10. But he said in his introductory press conference, man, like he knows what he's here for, and that's the win. He's like, we're going to win a national title. He's like, we're going to walk off the field with it. So, again, let's also not conflate the fact that you don't need to have a season like this to get to that point. We didn't need to have 2020 Florida State football, 2018 Florida State football to be in the position that we're at now. We didn't need to, but we had to go through it for whatever reason because of mismanagement. But just, it'll make it a lot. It felt a lot better with the confetti and the Cheez-It chips falling all over you. The victories help salve the wounds, and this is a large, gaping, gushing wound.
Oh, yuck!
It's not a flesh wound.
What a visual! It's a gaper, huh?
Yeah. All right, a few more. Let's get to it. My truth. All right, a little bang bang here for us. Wake up, going into next season, and just using the 12-game regular season as the parameter. Here are my following over-unders. What do you think? Over-under, Jordan Travis pass attempts per game, 35.
Under.
Absolutely. He attempted 200 and – actually, no, it's not that bad. 353 in 12 and a half games, so that was 28. I don't think he's going to – 7 more times? I don't think so. I'll go under as well. Jared Verse, 16 sacks.
Under.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
That's a huge number. Noel Fan does not have all-time sacks leaders listed, so I couldn't find that, Corey. I'm sorry.
I know Boulware has the record, and I think it was like 18 and a half, and DeMarcus Walker got close his last year, I think, but I think Boulware was like 18 and a half or 20, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Next up.
For a season, I should say, for a season. Yeah.
Trey Benson, rushing yards, 1,203.
Over.
Ooh. I like Rodney Hill. I think Rodney Hill eats into that.
Okay. All right.
Because I think Rodney Hill's going to be kind of Trayshawn Ward-ish. And then still got Toafili.
But if you do the math of like they're going to average, let's just say they average 200 yards per game rushing. Well, if Benson's running for 1,203, that's like a little less than 100 if he plays in the bowl game. So, I feel like Rodney Hill could still get his 50, and Trey Benson's getting his 100 a game. I think that could happen.
And they averaged 214 yards a game last year.
Okay.
I feel like you have to go. I mean, they were 10th best offense overall, yardage-wise. He fell short of it. Yeah, but I think, it took him, like 3 weeks before he realized really what I guess Ira knew, but the rest of us to realize what he could be. So, all right, fine, I'll go with the over. You win.
Okay, there you go.
Players that average 75 or above on PFF, 11. Which I should have had this pulled up a lot earlier, and I'm sorry, Corey did not, because I can only do it by offense and defense. But why does it go to 2021 on here? Let me see. Above 75 on offense last year, they had
it's got to be a minimum
5
of snaps.
players.
Got to be a minimum of snaps, though. It can't be somebody that just played 11 snaps. It's got to be somebody that plays.
Well, 4 then. Johnny Wilson, Trayshawn Ward, Trey Benson, Jordan Travis, all graded above 75.
So no offensive linemen.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And then defensively, Verse, Jamie, Fabian played 200, and he was grayed out 76.
Yeah, we'll take him. Yeah, he counts. He played enough. So 7. They had 7 last year.
And if you want to round up, Greedy was 74.7. DJ Lundy was 74.4.
Well, we're just following some math rules.
Okay.
Greedy, he goes up. He's 75. We'll round him up to 75. But Lundy, sorry, you needed that extra 10th. So basically they were close to having 9 last year. I think you'd go over with that, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I think you'd go over with that, sure. But, that's you're going to need a lineman or 2 to get in the mix there.
I'm changing my mind just so we don't agree on all of them. I'm going to go with the under on Trey.
Okay. You flip-flopped, man. You went back and forth. You writing these down? We going to go over this on December 15th?
Last one. My truth will maybe remind us. Could Verse get more than 16 sacks? That'd be nuts.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot of sacks.
Candy Knoll, good morning, wake up. In anticipation of the post-spring showcase transfer portal moves, what would prevent schools from removing players from scholarship counts who could now pay their own tuition or have someone pay their tuition on their behalf. They could take players who are top NIL earners and take them out of the 85 count scholarship limit, thus not needing to process out depth. Why wouldn't this work? I really wish I would have read this before, Corey, so I could actually researched it.
There's no reason they couldn't do that, right? I wouldn't think.
Please don't do this.
But like
Please don't do this.
Dion didn't have a football scholarship his last year because he was a professional baseball player, so the Yankees paid for him to play football or paid his scholarship his last year at Florida State. So that's been going on forever. I guess the question would be, why would the players do it? Why would they agree to do it? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to them and saying, look, it's going to be the same amount of money either way. We're still going to give you the $100,000 that you clear, but we're actually going to be paying you $150,000, but $50,000 of that $150,000 is going to the scholarship, I guess, right? So you can pay for your own way to school. Instead of giving you $100 and keeping you on scholarship, we're going to give you $150, but you have to pay your own way.
I mean,
is that the theory?
Yeah. You know, I just you'd have to set up some kind of probably nonprofit because you just can't. Battle's End, I don't think, can just pay for kids' scholarships. You know, just
why not, Aslan? Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it, man. Let's just do it. Battle's End should be handing out books. But yeah, I mean, that would be there's a reason to do that, I guess.
Well, absolutely, yeah, man. Shoot, exactly. Listen, we're going to give you $100,000, but actually we have $150,000, and we're going to put 50 of it towards just paying your school and everything that you need, and then you're still getting $100,000. Is that cool with you? Like, why would you say no?
But you count as a walk-on. Technically, you're a walk-on.
No one
because,
would know, though. I mean,
I know.
Say they did that with Renardo Green. Okay,
right.
Like say they were like their best defensive back. We wouldn't know. And I think the only thing that used to separate those guys was like the training table. Like if you were on scholarship, like it was paid for. Otherwise, you had to like pay for your meals if you're a walk-on. And like I don't know, like how would we find out about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and I don't think there's necessarily a numbers crunch in football like that. Maybe per year, like if you want to bring in more than 25, when that goes back to that number, that you could do it for situations like that. But there's not typically a numbers crunch for 80. Now, I know you're looking at the roster now, and there's more than 85 scholarship athletes. That will be changed after the portal is over. But that's not typically a numbers crunch. But, yeah, I guess the thinking is, say they're all full, 85. It's June. Marvin Harrison Jr. wants to come to Florida State. You've got to find a spot for him without cutting someone. So that's an avenue to do it. I think it's really interesting when it comes to the other sports. Like I can't remember what baseball is. I think baseball is like 11.2 scholarships for a 30-person roster. Softball's more than that, like maybe 14 or 15. Soccer, those kind of things. Like you could really you could dole out a lot more money to those types of players if they weren't having to pay their own way. Like, you know, baseball kids, none of them. I've said this many times before, but there's never been, I think Meat said that in the history of their program, they had offered 3 kids full scholarships. And 2 of them were like JD's last year and Buster's last year. And, of course, they went pro anyway because they got paid millions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but they're like, hey, if you come back to school, we'll give you a full scholarship. And Buster's like, I'm good. But yeah, like, so they don't offer full scholarships in baseball. They get like 20% or 30%. Well, maybe now you get 60%. And you get better players to come. I don't know, because maybe, you know, UCF is offering their starting pitcher a 65% scholarship. Florida State only has enough money for 30%. Well, now you can, you know, close the gap. I think it could work with stuff like that, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I promise you, other people are thinking about it and they're figuring out ways to use it.
I'm trying to Google and find information. And
I talked long enough, Aslan. I gave you all the time in the world.
A Michigan website's asking each other why we can't do it. A Tennessee website is asking each other why they can't do it. And there's no specific answer as to why they cannot or can. So I'm sorry, Candy. I apologize. I failed you. And you as well, Corey. I mean, you did a great job filibustering there. I don't know, man. That's just – Maybe when they break it out and they're not under the NCAA's purview, I just feel like that's there's something about like you have to be on scholarship. You have to be in the the clearinghouse, and all these things were part and parcel of making kids eligible. And then you start taking them out of that system. I don't know. I get it. It's a crafty, clever way of getting around the rules, and I love breaking rules. I love loopholes.
I know you do.
I love
You're a rule
circumventing
breaker.
it. But man, can't we just? I don't know. They need to limit this. I think they need to slash it from 85, but that's a whole other story. All right, we did it, Corey. We made it to the end, and it was only a little bit over an hour. So
Oh, that's it. We're done.
we're done, man. We did.
All
it.
right, you're welcome, everyone.
All right, we'll be back with one final show, wrapping up things from practice after Thursday's session, and then we'll talk to you folks on Monday after we watch the showcase together. But in the meantime, again, don't forget, plenty going on over at warchant.com. Later today, 1 to 3 o'clock, Jeff Cameron Show live, as it is always. The YouTube Super Chats will be on. All that will go towards benefiting Second Harvest, which provides meals, for families in need here in the Big Bend. So hop on if you can from 1 to 3 o'clock, and if you've got anything that you want to throw that way towards that great endeavor, do so. And then the happy hour, Friday, 4 o'clock, over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Come hang out with Corey. Come hang out with Ira and Gene and Jeff and Tom and all of us. We'll be
Aslan?
there.
What about Aslan?
I said all of us.
Okay, all right. Well, you were the last one. You shouldn't have left
Well, that's
yourself
all
out.
right.
Yeah, I hope you're there too, buddy.
And then Hotel Indigo, 1 to 3 o'clock, live pregame show, postgame show, 10 to 15 minutes afterwards with Gene Williams and Tom Lang, and the doors open at 12:30 at the Hotel Indigo. So I think I got all of it in there. There we go. Appreciate it, everybody. We love you guys. Hit the thumbs up, maybe. 5-star rating and review. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.